It's the day of the show.
Dusty, go on over to that piano.
Oh, no.
No.
I haven't played in so long.
I couldn't hear you.
Been a long time.
All right. We're going to do a little number for you, but remember, we're a bit rusty, so bear with us. Just like the old days.
All right.
Maestro?
My little buttercup has the sweetest smile. Dear little buttercup, won't you stay a while? Come with me where moonbeams paint the sky, and you and I might linger in the sweet by and by. Oh, dear little buttercup, with your eyes so blue. Oh, little buttercup, you're a dream come true. You and I will settle down in a cottage built for two. Dear little buttercup, I love you.
Everybody!
My little buttercup has the sweetest.
Yes, ma'am. Great.
Dear little buttercup, won't you stay out?
Wild.
You and I will settle down in a cottage built for two. Dear little buttercup, sweet little buttercup, my little buttercup, I love you.
Alan Pearl. Interesting. How do these people, where do they come from? You know, sure, I'd seen him around. It would never have occurred to me to walk up to the dentist and say, you know, are you interested in this? But I was shopping for my wife, Bonnie. I buy most of her clothes. And Mrs. Pearl was in the same shop. And it just was an accident. You know, we started talking about pantyhose. She was saying, whatever, that's not the point of the story, but what the point was that through this accidental meeting, it's like, you know, it's like a Hitchcock movie where, you know, you're thrown into a rubber bag and put in the trunk of a car. You find people. You find them. Something. Is it karma? Maybe. But we found him. That's the important thing. And I got Bonnie a wonderful pantsuit.
Hot stuff coming through.
Dad, why did you bring me to a gay steel mill?
I don't know. This is a nightmare. You're all sick.
Oh, be nice.
Oh, my son doesn't stand a chance. The whole world's gone gay.
Have you even heard him sing?
He made me sing last night. And if I were straight, I'd make you high-five me right now.
You are letting your judgment be completely clouded by lust.
Yes, thank you. See, Robert, Saul gets it.
Look, this isn't about me anymore. That Dunce cannot be Sky.
Robert, I hear you, but I feel like you're not even considering Stevie's badonkadonk.
I'm married to a woman.
So are all my regulars. You strike me as a angry top. I'm clean, but you do have to glove up unless you're down for some frottage.
Frottage?
It's French for rubbing our dicks together.
Honey, we have confronted our homophobia, and so has everyone else in town.
Well, thanks to your mother's tireless efforts, spreading the word about your homosexuality, calling people and writing people, and putting your picture up on telephone poles, and buying bus stop bench ads, and starting an online chat service all about you and your gayness.
Oh, shut up! I'm not gay. You two made my life miserable in this town. I hate you.
You gay bastard! No gay son of mine is not gay. You better get gay or I'll make you gay.
And I don't want you calling him a sissy. This guy's a fruit. And a... No, wait. Queer. That's what you like to be called, right?
Well, that or John.
This is about as tolerant as Dad gets, so you should be flattered.
Great. Well, Homer, I won your respect, and all I had to do was save your life. Now, if every gay man could just do the same, you'd be set.
Amen to that.
Andy Warhol and John Waters, in conjunction with Saliva Productions, present Jim Barrie's beloved children's classic, Peter Pan.
I think I see him. No, that's just a cloud. No, it's not. It's Peter.
I'm flying. Look at me way up high. Suddenly here am I. I'm flying.
Yes, it's Divine, starring as the boy who wouldn't grow up.
I won't grow up.
I won't grow up.
I don't want to go to school.
I don't want to go to school.
Just to learn to be a parrot.
Just to learn to be a parrot.
And recite a silly rule.
And recite a silly rule.
All right, come out of our blast out.
For shame, Doc. Hunting rabbits with an elephant gun.
Elephant gun?
That's right, Doc. So why don't you go shoot yourself an elephant? You do, and I'll give you such a pinch.
We're going to start our follies. We hope you like the show. Now everything is ready. We're raring to go. We'll give you all the latest songs and then we'll pull up there. We're gonna start with high shots. Just watch this chorus steps.
Originally settled as Ocean View during the 1850s, the city's population boomed with displaced
But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fantastic Comics Presents. This is our first time in 2 weeks. Welcome back. thank you for sticking with us and coming back. I appreciate it. I'm going to drink this water real quick. I can't say 227 consecutive episodes like I would have 2 weeks ago. But I was taking some time off. We'll call it personal time, even though I'm running a comic book store. Oh, yeah. For those of you that are new here and don't know.
My name is Yule Carter, comic book retailer in Berkeley, California.
That's right. In Berkeley, California, open Wednesday through Sunday, 12 to 5 p.m. Just read the sign. Yeah, that's when we're open. Come on early. If it's Wednesday, I might not let you in because I'm still working on people's holds and things like that, because that's the stuff you do in a comic store. Oh, I forgot to change this number right here. Let me just do that. My goodness, this month is the halfway point of the year. Gone, just like that. How you feel about that? Oh, I'm getting old. You know I'm getting old when I start talking about how quick the days go by. I'm going to let you in on a little bit of what's been going on in my personal life because it's shaping the episode today. But it's a little roundabouty. The reason why I wasn't on last week or 2 weeks ago, I was coming back from Southern California, not LA, Orange County, Ontario. That's like 45 extra minutes, you know. On the way, I was like, oh shit, there's Sunflower, my old street. I'm like, I'm going to get off and go drive around and stuff like that. See, the reason why I'm going is my mom's in a bad way. Probably some Alzheimer's. I mean, not probably, Alzheimer's. And she's really frail and going to stay in bed for like the rest of her days. And that ain't cool. I don't like it. Don't like it at all. So it was very emotional. I wasn't getting a lot of sleep. Any noise that happened, I was like up and I just couldn't like rest at all. And every other moment was spent like crying or just trying to like come to grips with what's going on and stuff like that. So yeah, my mom has Alzheimer's. I can write a comic book finally. Yeah. And my grandparents, they've been gone a long time, and I was never really close to any of them. And nobody I've ever really been close to has died other than like Rory. Somebody else we're going to be talking about in a few moments. Actually, since this is all the death early on, we're getting all death. It's going to be all gay later. This is the anniversary of me having to put Pochi down, which is very, very emotional for me. It was actually on a Monday. This is him reading the Pizza Dog issue. Thanks a lot, Matt Fraction, for not caring. You gave all those girls all the love, but you can't give this pizza dog some love. This is him in a carrying case. Isn't that cute? And this is him trying to get a treat from the carrying case. I thought I had another picture of him. Oh yeah, I do. It's right here. Let me just this is the sad part. Well, I mean, I had to put him down. That sucked. This was his previous owner. Her name was June, and I got Pochi as return. That was my bequeath. I was bequeathed Pochi. Funny enough, he got put down in June. Here's the calendar. I look through this calendar from 2018 every once in a while, pre-COVID, and all the exciting stuff that's going on these months and what they're trying to have us. Anyway, back to my mom. She knows she has 3 kids. That's cool. She knows their names. And if I got to be real, she never got them right when she didn't have Alzheimer's. Towards the end of the weekend, a couple days I was down there. My other brother was down there. So Jeffrey's there. He was the one that ran the store with me. And he's been taking care of the parents, putting them in their their beds. And he's had to watch all this stuff go on. And, he was kind of going to live there and, make sure they don't I told him, make sure they eat, make sure they don't get ripped off, and don't fuck up. That's why I told him. Those are his 3 things. You do that, you get everything. I don't care. So, but my other brother was there. And my brother is a little nutty. And I mean, you know how there's like QAnon people? My brother's LMNOP people. He's right next door. And we had this conversation about comics. And well, at first it started off, we were talking about internet sites, YouTube channels and stuff like that. I mean, and these guys are all kind of the troublemakers on the internet, and they're the ones that always talk about all the agendas that are taking place in comics and how comics are ruined and all this other stuff. And it's just an endless rotation of chew this one up, spit it out, chew this one up, spit it out. You see it in politics. You see it when people are talking about role-playing games right now. Sometimes it's the same people. Have you heard about Warcraft? Oh my goodness. What do I care? I run a store, and I have to put a new book out every week. I don't give a fuck. I don't have time for that stuff. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But we're going to talk about the gay agenda. It's Pride Month. There's been there's an influx in covers that are coming out that are Pride related. There's endings of stories and beginnings of stories and one-shots and annuals. And we're going to have Rick Worley on in just a moment, and Joe Corallo hopefully in just a few more moments. We're going to talk about some new comic books that are coming out. But first, actually, let's introduce Rick. I have a video that I always play for him. I know.
I think Ernest Hemingway was speaking for all gay men everywhere when he said that a man is nothing without a harpoon and a bar that he can call home. Now, I've never been satisfied with just one harpoon, so I certainly don't see why I should be satisfied with just one bar.
That's my introduction.
That is. I've used it before.
I didn't know that was just for me. That's thoughtful.
I know you wouldn't care. I knew I would not be insulting you if I put something funny, and I like a Ernest Hemingway aspect to it. I think. Did you see that HBO documentary, or I think it was HBO?
Which one?
And they were trying to rehabilitate the dickishness of Hemingway and almost make him like a gay icon or something like that.
Oh, I saw. Wasn't there like a Ken Burns Hemingway documentary?
Oh, maybe that was it. That one? Oh, well, either way. I mean, it was.
I watched one long Hemingway documentary a few years ago. I don't know. Yeah, I know they're trying to play up there. Well, I don't know. Wasn't he a crossdresser at some point? Or
No. When he was a baby, he wore a dress. I mean, that's what
all in life he wore dresses too. I don't know. I don't care.
I mean, that's the only aspect of it I really remember.
I don't remember either, so it didn't leave an impression.
So, Rick, thanks for coming on. For those of you that don't know, Rick is a comic book creator. A comic book creator of a book called A Waste of Time. Hey, that's your name right there. Can you tell me about this comic book so I don't have to mention every I've been on say gay all the time?
that cover's like 30 years old. It's when was the last time I did an issue? God, it's been a while.
Yeah.
They were sort of autobiographical comics, sort of, except when I didn't want them to be, and then they weren't, so it kind of veered between fantasy and reality. I got kind of sick of the whole autobiographical comics thing. It got kind of a cliche, and so I started doing a lot more cartoony stuff. So it got, when it comes back, it'll probably be a lot more horror fiction elements, a lot more sex and violence. I think that's kind of where I'm going with it.
Really?
With like cute furry animals,
Uh-huh. So how has this Pride Month been for you?
Oh, well, I don't have a social life, so it hasn't bothered me that much, but it's been pretty annoying online, Yeah, I hate print. I mean, you know, I don't know if it's
right before the month started. Right before the month started, you reposted and said, I wish this month was over already. So like before it, and it was like a Walmart ad, and like I guess Walmart's taking the deep dive into gay culture, or at least gay marketing or something like that.
Whatever it's supposed to be, I don't even know.
Well, I mean, the thing is like you've got all this money.
Joe's in the comments. Joe's asking for a link.
Oh, he is. Oh, damn! I thought I sent him one. Let me do that right now. Oh, you know what? There was some buffoonery from Twitter when I sent the link.
I got it.
I sent it twice to you. You didn't see the one that didn't go through.
Yeah,
So
I only got
awesome.
one.
Joe's going to be here in just a moment. We haven't even talked wrestling yet, so I should do that. Let me just play this video and we'll get on to who you are a little bit more in just a second. And see, the thing with my mom is that she could live this way for a long time, but she can't get the care that she's getting because they're planning her not to live that long. You know what I mean? So it's like it could be, it could be soon, or it could be a few years. That's some crazy stuff to have to deal with,
Is she your brother's mostly taking care of her, or did they?
Yeah, man. That's
she have like nursing care? Or?
For right now, yeah. We'll see how it goes. I told my brother, I said, I will not have a problem if you screw up something. Anyway, so there was a death today in wrestling to continue the theme. That's why I went back to my mom. Sika, I can't say his last name. Roman Reigns' dad, one half of the Wild Samoans. I almost said the Angry Samoans. The Wild Samoans. One of the last things he did, along with, I think, his brother, was they solidified the fact that Roman Reigns was indeed the tribal chief. And he was champ during that time. He was long-reigning champ. And he'll be missed. Not the champ. He'll be back eventually. Also, Liv Morgan on Raw. Jill was having a problem with it, but I thought it was great. She came out. She started the show. Well, she didn't. She came out after Drew McIntyre. And she did this thing with Dominic Mysterio. It was great. There was all sorts of really great wrestling, as you can see right here. You had 2 women and 2 men. In fact, it's Rey Mysterio, Dominic's father. And then Dominic pushed Rey Mysterio down. And that was a very happy days for Liv once again. And then also I gotta say this with my face here. This is the shame that I can't just play videos. I understand ripping people off, and but when you want to show something so that somebody, I just want to give a little taste, a little tease of what this video cassette tape that was given to Michael Cole in Raw pertained. What it contained. And what it contained was this interview with Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt's brother. And the video was all kind of like choppy, or at least they tried to make it a little choppy and stuff like that. And he was getting interviewed, and the guy asked him, how did it make you feel when your brother died? And he's all this, it was like the worst day of my life. And then it goes to the guy who's interviewing him, and he has this like super creepy, this is the way the mask is, super creepy smile. And of course it's Bo Dallas under that mask. So he's interviewing himself. And that's some crazy stuff. But did you see that Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, was in the Superman movie? That's a joke. Have you been seeing people talking about the Superman movie, the stills that have been coming out?
Yeah, every time there's a picture from the set, everybody goes crazy.
Yeah.
It's very...
You have any thoughts on that? And this is wrestling related. I'm keeping it up, everybody. And Joe's here, so we're going to get into this next part really quick. But yeah, what do you think of the Superman, James Gunn, the whole, Mr. Terrific's in this movie and all sorts of characters?
I mean, I'm over the superhero movies. I figure that the James Gunn DC universe will last about 2 movies before one of them gets bad reviews, and then they start panicking and they take away his creative control. I don't think it's really going to be like a big thing. Like, I don't think they're going to have but whatever. I don't hate the new Superman suit. I like that it's brighter colors. I hate all the Snyder, this sort of, that he's like wearing some sort of navy blue plastic kind of thing. He should be in like a bright blue cloth outfit. That's Superman. It looks like more like the comics to me, the way that it is now. So,
all right. Well, I'm sorry. I just want to say before we finish off the wrestling minute, I'm going to introduce Joe because this is sort of all on the same theme. Joe.
You have that look about you.
One that says I need a drink.
One that says you need a positive review.
We're fellow travelers, warriors of words, soldiers of syntax, pugilists of prose.
Writers.
Writers.
Yeah.
Writer Joe Corallo, writer, artist, Rick Worley, videographer.
Right. I think I have, what was it? You had a story in this, right?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have it. So.
It's an excerpt from my book is in there, but yeah, I have a few pages.
Nice. Yeah. I've known Justin Hall for forever. And then, what was it? I'm trying to think
Rob Kirby and Justin.
Yeah. And Howard. I was I was friends with Howard later in his life, but yeah. That was,
yeah. He wrote the pull quote for my book. I never really knew him, but he was a nice guy.
No, he was phenomenal. Like just wonderful, generous with his time. Just a nice.
Talking about Howard Cruz.
Yeah, Howard Cruz. Yeah.
But
underground artist.
But before we cut to the other stuff, I just wanted to say one of the saddest things about this new Superman movie for me is that Ramona Fradon, or Fradon, however you want to say it, she's dead. It doesn't matter. So if she got interviewed about that, because she got interviewed for Aquaman, and she was the co-creator of Metamorpho. So when she got interviewed for Aquaman back in 2018, she actually said in the interview, you can find this. It exists. It's written. It's not video, unfortunately, because I would have loved to hear her say this. She says, people used to tell me they thought Aquaman was kind of gay, but I always thought he was like Rock Hudson. And
famously a closeted homosexual in Hollywood, or just nobody really paid attention
until he died from AIDS.
Well, then everybody kind of had an idea.
They kind of put 2 and 2 together.
But
if 40 years of sex with men didn't clue them in.
I wasn't there, so I didn't know.
But I'm ashamed we were robbed of something insane she would have said about Metamorpho in an interview. So it's a loss for the whole community, I think. But, but she is fantastic. I love Ramona. I have a bunch of sketches from her over the years because she used to table the Big Apple Con in New York pretty frequently because she was from upstate. So
keep talking about Ramona Fradon as I play this video. We should be able to talk over it. It's a setup for what I'm going to be talking about to finish off tell me what you think you see. Speaking of comic books and comic book movies and interviews and stuff like this nutty person has a YouTube channel, and he is doing Marvel characters. This is Marvel Championship Wrestling, and he's using whatever wrestling video game or whatever to make these characters. And there's even like voice work. I don't know about the voice. It's weird the way it's stilted. It's very like computery. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I got a couple clips I want to show you, and I think because this is wrestling, I think this is cool. I think it pertains, and pay attention to this.
Monday Night Smash opens up this week with one-on-one action between the Raging Cajun, Gambit of the X-Men, and the menacing Omega Red, who is accompanied by fellow Brotherhood member, the Blob.
So I thought, all right, that's kind of cool. He went to that effort to put this thing, together, right?
Yeah.
There's even excerpts of matches, and you find out what happens and stuff like this. But where the real effort gets put in is when you get introduced to other factions, and they're keeping it within the mutant arena. And this one's a little bit longer, but this will be just about the end of this.
Okay.
Next, let's take a closer look at the origins of this rivalry and the two men at the center of it, Charles Xavier and Magneto. Professional wrestling was in Charles's blood, as he was a third-generation wrestler. His father, Danger David Xavier, had a successful singles career but gained the most notoriety from his tag team run with his brother-in-law, Kurt Marco, as the Danger Duo. Charles would debut in the MCW years later as a tag team wrestler, teaming with Kurt Marco's son, Kane Marco, in a revamped version of their father's team called the New Danger Duo.
The video changes, the music changes. I love that. They got the whole Kane Marco bit going on there, father and son. I don't know. I'm all right with it.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's weird to say this as someone who writes and edits comics, but it's like also okay to grow up sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
it's called graduating, I think.
Like it's okay. It's not always bad. And no, but yeah, I mean, more power to him.
I thought that guy, comic head 84 or whatever the hell it was. I have the link in the comments down below if you want to see more of this. It's like 15-minute videos. So a lot of work's being put into it. And if you're a Marvel fan, I think you're going to appreciate it, especially if you like wrestling. And that's your Wrestling Minute. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Is that like a license thing though, or like it's like a fan thing? Like
It's got to be a fan thing because I mean he's using. Oh, so initially when I was watching that, I was thinking like, oh my goodness, like what character is he using? Because they're using their poses and stuff like that. Yeah. So initially I was doing that. A lot of times when I see a Pixar movie and I know nothing about it, the most important thing to me is trying to know who the person is that's acting in it. Sure. Fuck the movie. Let me see. I have nothing else to say. Okay, Rick. Okay, so we're talking about pride. Oh yeah, my brother. He's telling me that he likes the heels versus babyface and the Friday Night Tights people. And we're kind of getting into it, and I'm having an argument about it because it's kind of it's shock rock jock stuff at best. It's I personally think it's very baity. Obviously there's some things that I like that are baity, and then there's other things that I don't. I just don't really respect them that often. And then I'm refuting just about everything he's saying. And then he brings up the gay characters in comic books. And so here we are today. And I'm like, all right, who's gay? What are you talking about? Because, so he brings up Robin, and I'm going to be pedantic about it, I guess. And be like, that's not Robin.
Isn't Tim Drake's not Robin
Yeah.
these days?
He's Red Robin, god damn it. And you know what? That
He
ain't
was
my
Red
Robin, and I don't care.
Is he Red Robin now? I don't even.
Damien.
He was, yeah, Damien's.
Oh, Damien's Robin. Okay.
But like Tim Drake is like you're saying, is like Red Robin sometimes, but also remember when they just tried to make him Drake, which that seems like a bad idea because that's half his legal name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that as like your superhero name. I don't know.
So
Isn't
he's
he like,
bringing up things, and I'm just like kind of being like, I'm not being cool about it. And I think I want to get into this with you guys, but that's why I'm having you all here today.
Yeah, sure.
Happy Pride Month, everybody. Rick here has been doing some art and putting it on Twitter, X. And what am I looking at here?
it's John Wayne Gacy and his some of his friends.
You're doing hashtag
significant
like Pride
others
Month and stuff like that under this, right?
Yeah, I wanted to do gay themed drawings for Pride Month. So
oh my god. So John Wayne Gacy, and this is who's the worst person you feel like you've done?
Leopold and Loeb aren't that bad. They're confused kids.
Oh, is that what they were?
Yeah, there's a relationship gone sour, I think.
What was that movie that was about them?
There's several. You mean Rope or?
I don't remember what it was called. It came
Compulsion.
Like in the 90s. It doesn't matter.
There's been a lot.
And lastly, this is the last one I did. Of course,
Yeah, Jeffrey.
Did you ever read My Friend Dahmer? Any of you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I thought of sending this picture to Durf, but I didn't know if he would think it was funny.
Well, is it supposed to be funny?
That's up to the people that I don't know. Did you laugh?
Well, it's the things that you're saying about these people. And you're it's almost like you're making a Mount Rushmore of gay people, and these are all horrible individuals.
Yeah, well, the Dahmer picture I wanted to do. I thought the pictures of him as a kid were really interesting. Watching him kind of grow up, he's like the dweebiest little kid in the world, and then his eyes get kind of scary at some point.
Well, I guess he gets like super jacked, like he's like a big workout creep.
He did get a little jacked later on. I mean, the thing with him,
wasn't it like runners that he was taking out too?
He liked athletic young men. Dahmer wasn't bad looking. He did, they came back to his apartment willingly. Like he could have guys. That wasn't the issue with him. The issue with him was that he needed to possess them, control them. He had a really weird, he had some psychological issues, you might say.
Yeah.
Not to be judgmental, I don't want to kink shame, but
didn't he eat people?
He had a couple, again, I don't want to kink shame, it's, you can't walk a mile in his shoes, but yeah, he did eat a few of them.
All right. Great. Let's say hello to everybody out there really quick. Don't forget, everybody, there is super chat capabilities. If we irk you just enough, you might want to let us know what you think.
Hello. 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 Oh. Go. Look out. Hello.
Hello. Let me get this one. I want to thank everybody that contacted me and were like, what's going on? You didn't have a show 2 weeks in a row. That's really awesome. And I appreciate it. I had customers come in and say that too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, people that aren't really, everyday customers also. First up, Fantinium. Good controversial. My last episode was a very safe episode. How's Your Father Gets It, just in time before Pride Month ends. Eric O'Sullivan, you saw my other dog, Pochi. That would, if I have to emote feelings, like I was looking at pictures of him to bring up for this episode, and I was like, oh, we're gonna talk about my mom, but the dog's killing me right now. I let the Lord. Welcome back. Thank you. Lane Kramer. Hello, some fantastic comics. That's right. Dwayne Muth, welcome back. Thank you. Jilby Pill in the other room. Hello. Bay Area Retro, hilarious intro. Thank you. Oh, busy at work. Sorry, I lifted Lauren. Oh, link you. Yes, Joe. I'm blaming X on that one. Tim Drake is my Robin, though, since I read it for over 100 issues back in the 90s. Well, yeah, I understand. You can't discount somebody else's 175 or more issues with the other one or whatever, John Wayne Gacy during Pride Month. Follow Rick at Blood of the Land on X, right? Is that how it is?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's in the comments down below. Okay, very good.
The name's a Bob Dylan lyric. It's not a serial killer thing. It's not all serial killers all the time.
Hello, good evening. Gotham City Comics says hello, good evening to you. Well, all right. So, Rick, you're a let's go through your bona fides. You've done is it a self-published comic? You own the rights to do that comic regardless of the company.
The last few were published by Northwest Press. Zane Christensen.
That's your baby, right?
Yeah, I know. It's all me. Yeah, I own it all. It's all my personal rantings and
you have quite the successful YouTube channel also.
It's doing okay. Yeah. I think I've got
about a variety of things.
Yeah, I've got a couple of videos that have done pretty well.
So if you like Star Wars, a flimsy defense of Woody Allen.
Was it flimsy?
I'm just joking. I was doing that for the people out there.
Yeah.
And what was there's a J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, you could watch my J.K. Rowling video for Pride Month if you want to.
Very good. Are you
my serial killers didn't piss off enough people that
I saw. So I was on Twitter and I was like, Rick Worley, type. Get some pictures of you or something like that. And there were so many people that were like posting all these people that you follow that are pieces of shit, and Criterion was in on that too. And just you get people upset.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I don't know why the people react. No, that was because I was making fun of a Zack Snyder movie, I think. And if you say anything about Zack Snyder anywhere on the internet, his friends have to come and have a public temper tantrum for like 5 or 6 days. Mm-hmm. And so the way one of them was trying to discredit me by like going through everybody I follow and following. Apparently, I follow like 3 or 4 right-wing accounts, which I don't even think they're really whatever. But he started, Rick Worley follows all these alt-right accounts, and Rick Worley's a Nazi. He started trying to spread that around.
I guess for the most part, I follow comic book people. Joe, I follow you. Rick, friend, close friend, right here within distance. Then me and Joe here. No, not like Joe or anything, but I don't know what I was gonna say. But Joe here. You make comic books. You don't poke the bear like Rick does, right? You're a very
I don't really
genial, get along with everybody kind of person, right?
Yeah, it's
you can't get along with everybody.
You go out and do things. You still you love living, right?
I do love living. If I ever die, it was against my will. Don't ever let anyone say that I went peacefully. No, I mean, but I mean, there are people that don't like me. I know it's hard to imagine, but it's
why would they really? This is though like hanging out with people and you piss somebody off type person, right?
Yeah, it's right. Like it happens, like
it's not like a stranger on the internet or anything, right? Not like Rick gets.
No, I don't get too much of that. But like, even if I did, I'm probably not paying attention and wouldn't know. And so it's possible that I'm just not paying attention.
Well, mine is all strangers on the internet because I think if people actually know me, I'm generally a pretty likable person.
Yeah.
I'm pretty nice. You don't have to agree with me for everything for me to get along with you, you know. But
sure.
It's all people on the internet that have a big problem with me because, you know.
Well, if you only get them getting upset with you for that one thing, then they're ignoring all the other reasons to get upset with you, right?
Well, because I never make anybody happy 100% of the time because, you know, I have like I have all my gay followers and gay fans, and so these are kind of like left-wing people. And so then I do a video where I'm defending Woody Allen, and then so half of those people freak out. And then I do a video where I attack a right-wing person, or I do a Donald Trump drawing, and then half my right-wing people, they all flip out. And I'm like, hey, guess what? You know, like people have more than one thought in their heads, you know? Isn't that crazy? So, but I think it's just because I have a YouTube channel, I kind of attract the nuts. So.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine that helps, but in attracting nuts at least. But I imagine when you get pushback on something like the Woody Allen stuff, that like the majority of the time they actually don't refute anything you state.
They don't actually watch the video. They that's the same as if you actually get to know me, you'll find out that if you actually watch the video, you'll find out that I have good reasons for what I say. But I get a lot of people that come after me just from the title of the video, you know. So I had one person, she used to write comic book reviews, and she had a lot of friends in the comic book industry, and she started going around telling people that they shouldn't work with me anymore because I was a child molester because of my Woody Allen video. Well, she hadn't actually watched the video. She didn't know a single fact about me. She didn't even know my name, but she was still going around telling people that they shouldn't associate with me and this and that. So, but you know, it's a good video if you actually try to watch it, I think.
Well, one thing I've pointed out to some people before and I've had discussions about is like, if you are, you know, and let's put all aside and say if you know, you or somebody you know is the type of person who's very much like, I won't watch a Woody Allen movie, I won't watch a Roman Polanski movie, things like that. I point out to things because I was on a podcast recently where they were talking about like, oh well, we're never going to talk about something like Rosemary's Baby because we're not going to support, you know, Roman Polanski. And, you know, I was a guest. I didn't want to say anything on air, but, you know, after it was kind of like, you know, if you do that, you're also denying people, yourself and others from experiencing probably Mia Farrow's most iconic role in a movie, or one of like the more important films Mia Farrow really starred in. That's not like, you know, Woody Allen film.
Yeah, well, if you boycott Woody Allen movies, you're erasing like 9/10 of Mia Farrow's filmography. So you're erasing most of her career. So I don't know if that makes a lot of sense either.
Dude, he had a lot of women in his movies too, right?
A lot of
women got jobs because of Woody Allen.
more women have won acting Oscars for his movie than from any other director by like a long margin. He writes great parts for women. So what are you going to, all those women should have their work erased because of what people think about him, you know? Especially with movies where every movie has hundreds of people involved, you know, you're erase it. But any kind of art, you know, you just have to be kind of ignorant to think that way, because if you start going through the history of art, you know, there's basically no art that had nobody involved who didn't do something bad in their life, you know. There isn't anybody that was a perfect person their entire life.
Sure. It's hard to be. I know. Let me tell you.
Right? No, but like, I don't know. And it's like, also, like, I don't know. You could also not want to watch movies for whatever reason, and I don't have to hear about it.
That too, yeah. Well, because that's the main goal of it for them, is that they get to go to saying, I'm not watching Woody Allen because I'm a good person and I know more than you. That's the real goal, because not watching it, that doesn't hurt Woody Allen. He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's about the person that's doing the boycott. That's what it's about.
because there are definitely movies or like, different people that I'm like, I'm not going to go out of my way to watch their stuff, or like, there's so much that I'm never going to see in my lifetime anyway, and there's other stuff I want to watch. But I don't ever talk about it because I'm an adult and I don't need to like talk about that or try to make myself sound like a good person, or try to make someone feel bad for liking something that I have a personal opinion on,
You don't need everybody to know about it. That's,
Yeah.
that's not the goal. Yeah, I mean, if you personally have an aversion to say you just don't like somebody, you don't enjoy their work, that's everybody has people that they just not into that person, not interested, But if it's something that you actually would be otherwise interested in, and you're saying, "Oh, I can't watch it because that person did such and such," well, it's like, read the biographies of the people that are involved in anything that you've ever enjoyed. You'll find something somewhere that somebody did.
One last bit of bullshittery, Joe. I wanted to let you know that I was really disappointed when I saw there was going to be a Dazzler comic and you weren't involved.
Right. I get it, but like, is now the time for Dazzler? I guess.
I
guess
heard
they really
it
want
pays shit too. So man, I don't know. Do you really want to slum it that bad at Marvel?
I mean,
Just to write a character.
What I wanted to do forever ago was do Dazzler Max, where she's just like a coked out singer, mostly playing at like divey gay bars in the early 80s, because where else is a disco queen going to be playing, and getting a crowd? It's going to be like some divey gay bar in the 80s. And like that would have been a lot of fun. I would have liked to do that. And if they let Garth Ennis do all that crazy shit when he's doing like these Fury Max kind of books, then why can't you have Dazzler go a bit coked out and crazy? Come on.
I think one of the craziest ones was Deadpool Max, actually. That had
Yeah.
Kyle Baker and was it Dave Lapham writing it? I don't know. It was like really crazy stuff though. But so you create comic books. You've done a whole bunch of things. What do you have coming up other than the sequel to the King Arthur one that you did? What's it called again?
No, there's no sequel to it. It's just King
okay.
Arthur that's out. What was it? Because that came out in April. It's not a sequel, but I am doing more work with Archie. So I'm doing a one shot Kardak the Mystic. It's what was it? That's a Golden Age character of theirs. I had a lot of fun with that. Butch Mappa's doing the art. Yeah, that's August 14th, so you can still pre-order it, which is good, and you can still get copies of the DC Pride celebration of Rachel Pollack, where I have a 10-page story that brings Coagula back to life and into continuity with Rye Hickman and John Workman. So.
I saw the art. I thought it looked good. I haven't read it yet, though.
I
read a lot lately. Oh,
I just read
Rick
it.
wants to let you know all about it.
Oh, thank you.
Actually, I honestly, I've never read a lot of Doom Patrol, so I didn't really understand it because I didn't know the characters. But I read it.
I appreciate that.
I don't have anything intelligent to say because I didn't understand the story.
No, it's fine. It's all very involved in that run, and it was kind of an excuse to celebrate it and do a lot of deep dives with characters that were really only in her run. And I don't think anyone has ever referenced Shore Industries in issue 74 of that run before and things like that. So it was pretty fun for me.
Now, who killed off that character? Was it John Byrne?
No, it was John Acrudi. And that run, it was like issue 9, I think, of that run.
The one with Tanging What? Is that it?
Yeah.
I love that series, though. I got to admit.
No. Yeah, but she was just like, she was killed off panel in the issue where, like in a flashback, when Cliff was visiting Dorothy at the hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a question. I would like to start with Joe, but it pertains to both of you. Maybe you can what's it like being a gay man working in comics?
Oh, we're gonna start with me.
Yeah, I am.
It is.
Is there a difference?
There's a lot to it. I think everyone like there's a lot of overthinking and underthinking, which is fun. So I've talked to a lot of other queer people in comics, and there is a lot of like, oh well, if I have a book out, the marketing or someone's going to be like, what if we have it come out in June? So there's a lot of that, which is fun.
Flood the market on 1 month for 1 month.
Well, which is funny because the big anthology that I think really started this was Love is Love, and that came out in December of 2016.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that shooting was what, like June 11th or whatever. I mean, they would have had to really go into overdrive to get that out before the end of June. But no, it's yeah, but that really launched it, because then that got accolades and awards the following year. And then I mean, there was like a couple year gap, and then you started seeing some of the other bigger publishers get involved in that in comics. Now IDW with the Star Trek 1-2, so you're seeing them from that. But I don't know, it's complicated. It's also not complicated at all. Also, it's other people making things needlessly complicated.
With the exception of this episode, and when we talked about Luda, I've never had you on for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure. But,
and I don't think Rick either. It's always for Rick. It's whatever Rick's all about.
No, but it's interesting. But yeah, Rick, if you want to say something.
Oh well, you have I mean,
so long ago for Rick though.
Well, Joe actually works in comic. Like, he actually works for DC and like that kind of thing. My comics I had published were all published by things like Northwest Press, which was specifically gay comics. Like, that was the whole point, was that they published gay comics. So I wasn't an outsider or a token release in June or something. That was what they did, and that was actually. The couple small-time publishers that did my comics they came to me and asked to publish my comics. I kind of did my thing. I was posting them online, and they asked me, they liked them, for a minute there, I was kind of in sort of the circle of whatever the young gay cartoonists of like the early 2010s. And, they like, hey, they wanted to publish this. So I was like, okay, sure. But it was, I don't want to sound like ungrateful or like a criticism of them, but that wasn't how I saw my own work, because I never saw it as being all about gay stuff. There was gay characters in it, there were gay relationships in it, but I never saw like, hey, these are gay comics for gay people about gay stuff, And that always kind of, I just, I don't know. It's like my YouTube channel. I did 2 videos about Star Wars, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're a Star Wars channel." And when I do something that's not Star Wars, I have all these Star Wars nerds that get mad at me, because it's like, why is this video on a Star Wars channel? It's because I never said it was a fucking Star Wars channel,
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the gay thing. There's plenty. My comics have lots of sex, lots of gay characters, but I never wanted to like, be the gay artist. That wasn't like the thing of it. So that was kind of more than like trying to get a big publisher to do a gay issue or have a gay month. It was kind of the opposite of like, I was kind of at gay publishers, and I've kind of tried to get away from that. I've tried to, I don't know if that's sort of subconsciously part of my reaction, is like trying to do against what they would want me to do. So I'm like, because I was thinking of like, oh, I should do a Waste of Time Pride special. It's kind of like a parody of the DC Pride specials or whatever. So I'm thinking, my Pride special, I'll do John Wayne Gacy and Jeffrey Dahmer, and I'm going to do famous gay people in history, and those are my famous gay people in history, And that's just I don't know. I mean, that's not the whole point, but just kind of like trying to get away from. I just don't like kind of being pigeonholed into a little. This is what you do now. You do that. That's kind of also why I got sick of like the autobiographical dating comics thing. Because there's so much of that. It's just like, oh, this is my. It's this is how dating is different because you're gay. And I never wanted to be there. My thing about it was just that there's no reason that straight people can't read my comics, you know?
Yeah.
I never wanted straight people to feel to feel like, oh well, I shouldn't be interested in that because that's for gay people. There's no reason that a straight person can't pick. It's full of gay sex. It's full of gay characters. But I read comics with straight characters all the time. So there's no reason that a straight person can't read a comic with a gay character, you know? So I always fought against being like this other separate corner of the comics industry, you know? So maybe that's why I'm like a contrarian, pissing
But
people
there are
off.
people that have a big problem with this, and we see
sure, yeah.
When we're talking about, we really care about mainstream characters, somebody that already existed. And I'm sure if it wasn't being done this way and it was done the way that they wanted it to be, these people want it to be done, it would be a bone of contention also. But if we're talking about characters changing their stripes, so to speak, or, you know, just being written differently than they had ever been to, I don't know. It seems like a lot of people want to suggest that it serves a higher master, you know, somebody's controlling this. It's Soros, I guess, is making it happen or something like that.
No, I think what was it? They talk about the stupid, like, what was it? They're like equality money. What the hell do they call it? The you know, where they're talking about like, oh, they get, it's bullshit. It's not actually happening. But like when a comic does that, they're like, oh, they get money from like the government.
Oh yeah, I was.
Grants to,
so there are programs. What anytime someone fucks up, the plane fucks up, or some ship crashes or something like that, they always blame like the DEI, right? I guess, which I don't know what that stands for, but a different program. It's a program for you got your we called it affirmative action, right? Instead of they're allocating funds for that stuff, I guess is what people make it sound like.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm sure the government gives money to everybody but me all the time, it seems.
Yeah, well, but
I don't know how you guys are doing, but
you know, I wouldn't say no to money. I wouldn't be like, you know, get away from me. But you know, sort of to this point though, where you know, you're talking about the mainstream stuff, and like it does seem that there's maybe an over focus on it on some of like the smaller websites or things like that, or like there's a certain amount of coverage, and that coverage is also amplified on you know, from some channels and things like that typically don't like, you know, that kind of change. But then when you like look at the output, it's like, oh, it's not like the percentage overall really isn't matching the discussion or the amount of thought and energy being put in it. And there's also this level that's kind of, I guess, annoys people, and you know, that cuts both ways, because it's like, look, the reality is it's not as many characters as it seems, and there are all these kind of periphery characters, or characters that, like, look, if Iceman was your favorite X-Man, what is wrong with you? You know, like,
I don't disagree, but that guy got Tang all the time. You know what I mean? And it's not like all the other beards I've seen gay men with. Those aren't pretty women. You know what I mean?
I completely get that, and I liked what Louis Simonson did with him, and you know, that like what Japanese girlfriend he had for a while. It was great. Opal, was it, right?
Yeah, I think
but,
so.
You know, but yeah, so you had that, and that was cool, but also it's like, that's one of, if not the maybe highest profile of those sort of characters at this point. And I guess, like, I know Tim Drake fans like to say it's Tim Drake, but I don't know. I don't know if I would say Tim
long-term
Drake is.
girlfriend for
No, but I'm saying in
that
terms
guy was
of
straight as an arrow.
in terms of just name recognition, I feel
Mhm.
like Iceman might be then a specific Robin at this point. It's
Right.
kind of up in the air, but like Iceman's been in multiple Bryan Singer movies, so
I think most people don't know there's different Robins, or they don't. They definitely don't know the names of the different Robins and what the difference
yeah,
is. Yeah, Iceman's probably bigger.
yeah,
But
but like
barely.
no, but like the one that definitely I think rubbed me the wrong way in terms of the response to it was the Jonathan Kent Superboy, because for me it's like he is a newer character. He was aged up and I hated that, but putting that aside, the amount of people that were saying things that were more or less along the lines of, look, I think I know this fictional 11-year-old pretty well.
Yeah.
And that was one horny 11-year-old that just constantly wanted what, that was like, this is no, that to me was fine. I'm not sure how much I care about the Jay Nakamura character, but whatever, it's fine. Like there's
The boring
nothing.
stories were worse, but
yeah,
people always had to give a little bit of a dig into the aspect that he was a gay character now also, or at least initially. It's more of a Fox type thing. Anytime somebody from the outside talks about something, they always make fools of themselves to the people that actually know what's going on.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that's I don't know if some of these people talking about this realize where you're kind of crossing a line a little bit is, so Jonathan Kent being like bi because he was with Saturn Girl or interested in her or whatever, and I think they're going with these bi specifically, but I don't know off the top of my head. But when people criticize it and they talk about it in a way where it's like, this character I like is ruined because he likes guys, it's like, do you realize like what you're saying exactly? Like I think there's a disconnect, or maybe you don't realize what you're saying, but it's like that's actually kind of a like
everything they knew in life was wrong. It's like I've been sold a bill of goods that this person wasn't going to remain the same that they have always been. And
I
put money and effort and care, and even if he was the worst X-Men, Angel. Like seriously, why isn't Angel? That's the one.
That's too obvious.
Well, sorry.
Too obvious.
So
check this out. A lot of people kind of had the idea that Iceman was gay from the Bryan Singer movies, where he was obviously gay. I think they kind of, I think a lot of people, the general public, sort of had a notion.
I'm just glad
this thing about Iceman. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, I'm just glad that like blonde twinks are finally being represented in the gay community in comics.
Finally,
that's
well. Let me tell you, us masculine men thought they all were. Iceman is a latent lifer, and that is bullshit. Spider Guy. We know that. We know this is a customer, by the way, and he's just doing this. He got that shit implanted by Marvel Girl or Jean Grey. I mean, the young one though. And not only that, but seriously, just because the young one from a different doesn't mean that the old one is going to have the same thing happen to him, right?
Well, it depends on if you think that they become gay at some point in their life, or if you think that they were born gay, they're always gay.
So anybody that finds out they're gay after a long time not thinking they were, do they jump in that quick? Like
I don't really believe that
he went
people
balls
just.
deep. You know what I mean? Iceman went balls deep.
Well, that's
I mean, do you
kind
get
of part
deeper
of
than
being
that?
gay. He well, I don't. I'm going to start pissing people off in a second. I don't really think that there is a late in life. I think that you always know at some point. Maybe you don't have a good understanding of it or whatever, but it's not like a new thing that just appears when you're 30.
So I actually do have a problem with the Alan Scott character. I was okay with the old man. What are you going to do in the 40s and stuff like that, right? You have a family, right? You know,
He was
maybe you have
closeted.
yeah, maybe something like that, or maybe just, you know, I'm gonna pray it away, whatever. But then he isn't later on. It doesn't discount anything else about him from before. But when you have these well, that's the problem with retcons anyway. You have a retcon where he is like openly a gay man early in life and not having this family. It's kind of, I haven't read it, so I don't know if it's great or not. It's just, it kind of sits a little wrong with the character that I've accepted, you know, and now it's being changed for Destiny. She's a young woman now. It's crazy. She's an old bag. What the hell, man?
I will say with the Destiny thing, I do think that's kind of like an ageist bullshit thing where it's like, oh, we're younger, you know, queer people working on this shit. Get the fuck out of here, you old bag.
Yeah,
it
is. It really, I mean, there's a lot of that too. I mean, you can look at it's funny how like so many characters were created. Like Punisher's an old man, you know. Cable was an old man. There's a lot of characters that are old men. Some we've grown up with, but you know, Reed wasn't like young or anything like that back in the day. But you have to, you know, again, retcon, re-up and stuff like that.
But like honestly, I thought it would have been cool to, you know, Destiny have her be old, and like Mystique would do something nice to make her feel better by like making herself look older so she feels more comfortable. So that could have been
like
nice,
that.
like,
that's cool.
That could have been a really nice, sweet moment, but instead, we got some really vain bullshit. So you know, whatever.
Lane says, well, I mean, how do you guys feel like when people say a character who is bisexual will never be the opposite gender in a relationship again, since the terminology is just used? Do you think that's they say bisexual so that us straights don't get upset, or so you gays don't get upset? Well, they're never going to be not gay.
That's the way of not retconning that the person had girlfriends or that they.
Just one character has to be like, it didn't take. It just didn't take. Like that black cat later on, you know, it was all right, but it just didn't take. Not near men. Are people afraid that if they see a fictional gay or real gay that they'll become gay in real life? Is that my understanding? I don't think it's that's not how I feel. I mean, I think this is me to answer a little bit too. It's I'm not actually, I mean, and then I kind of, my fallback is I'm really not into the relationships that are, I mean, I am into the relationships of the characters, but when it gets to, you know, sexy time, I don't care. I just don't need a big old conversation during your gay sex scene in Saga. That's what I don't need. I'll leave that for my HBO programming, you know?
No.
That's, I mean, I think it would annoy people a lot less if that wasn't the topic of the entire comic. Whenever they were like, I just read the last DC Pride special of 2024, and you know, half the comics they're like, the characters are like sitting around in a diner or in bed talking about like, oh, am I ace or am I pan or am I allosexual? And I'm like, what 14-year-old on Tumblr talks like that? This is, and you know, if it was like a normal comic, if it was like Robin was having an adventure with the Joker, and then afterwards at home he had a boyfriend instead of a girlfriend, and you know, and it was a normal Batman comic, I don't think that would bug people so much as when it's the whole fucking thing, and you've got like, you know, them sitting around talking about it the whole issue and, you know, coming to terms with it the whole time. Just you know, just have the character be gay and that's it. Just you know. And they're trying, so it really reeks of them just kind of trying too hard to kiss up to whatever the trendy thing is when they're trying to, you know, they can't just, when they're sitting around debating the terminology and using terms like, I don't even remember everything, but they're like debating, you know, different types of pansexuality and everything in the middle of like a Superman comic. I think that's when it becomes a lot more irritating for people than if it was just, okay, he has a boyfriend. Like, now okay, Lex Luthor's attacking the city, so why the fuck are we sitting around talking about his boyfriend for 10 pages, you know? Like, that really shouldn't be what the whole comic is about.
There have been comic books. I remember there was, I think it was sometime, you know, probably during Trump, I'm not sure, but people were upset that Marvel was going to take money from some war company. I don't know which one.
Oh, it was like the Northrop Grumman, like.
There you go. And they were going to do an Avengers story, and I'm sure it wasn't going to be pro-war, but it was going to have their tanks or something in it, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And, you know, so they kind of got that stopped. People were upset, but there have been times when money has been spent, to anti-drug comics. Wasn't that famously the Marvel and DC comics were anti-drug? They were kind of like, you know, suggested or funded to have that happen. There were all those child abuse stories, and in the 80s, you know, I'm sure Different Strokes made some money off of that one, you know. And I feel like those comic books are always being made, whether or not it's in that Dallas newspaper or whatever. It was some rodeo those were given out at or whatever.
You mean like comics, like a message that they're like lecturing on?
Yeah, exactly. Like companies take money from organizations. I don't know if it's government or, you know, I don't know where the money starts from, is what I'm saying. But we know that those companies have taken money to do stories that are
nobody's
efforts, you know,
cutting them a check to put in a gay character. I think how it happens is that they start to get afraid of backlash online, and so they hire like a few young gay people or trans people or whatever. And then once those people are there, they start asking, well, what do you think we should do? Should we do this? Should we do that? And then those are the people that start like, oh, well, you know, we really should explain like the difference between allosexual and different types of asexuality. And it's like, okay, it's good that they hired them. It's good that they get their perspective, but it also shouldn't take over the whole thing. They should also be able to like write a superhero comic. It shouldn't just be, you know, that thing all the time. I mean, I know it's not every comic that they write. I know it's the Pride issue, you know. But it just, I read the Tim Drake Robin series, and you know, as somebody that when I was a kid, I would have loved it if Gay Robin had a boyfriend, and that would have been so thrilling to me, you know. But like 2/3 of the comic is like about him and his little boyfriend, like on their cute little dinner dates and everything. And they're all like, you know, it's like a manga or something for 10-year-old girls. It's like, it just doesn't feel like an American superhero comic anymore. It kind of gets taken over by this other different thing, you know? And I think that's when it starts to really rub people. I mean, there are people that just don't want gay characters in the comics, and they're gonna be upset about it either way, you know. So I'm not saying that everybody that's upset about it has a legitimate point. Some people just don't like gay people, but there is a point where it starts to become like, okay, enough with this shit, you know. Like, can like a bad guy show up or something? Why have we been on this like dinner date with his weird little boyfriend for half an issue? You know,
there was a Jed McKay story before he got to write every title. He was doing a side miniseries title for like one of the Thor things, and Spider-Man or somebody is rescuing some people or a dude, and the dude has to cry out, "Oh, my boyfriend or my husband or whatever is over there." And I'm like, man, what a throwaway fucking line. And I'm thinking, like, would that have been even like in a comic book? You know, would that have been a thing, you know, 20 years ago? You know, would that have been would it have been a straight person saying it? And I'm not really sure. Usually it'd be like a baby type situation, I would think is obvious. But I was kind of like, man, that's a throwaway line. It's like it felt like it was to make somebody happy, is what it felt.
When you feel like the point is to appease a certain person or something, that's when people start to roll their eyes. I mean, it's hard to talk about because, like Joe was saying earlier, when there are people that are like, oh, you ruined my character, you know, and that can. Why does it ruin the character to have the character be gay? You know, that can be. It's hard to talk about though because there's a spectrum of things that can mean when somebody says that. You know, there's people when people say that they could be just they don't like gay people. They're mad that the character is gay. But there's other situations like you and I were talking about before when there was some article or something about people wanting them to make Spider-Man gay in the movies. And I said that
bisexual, I do believe, yes.
Yeah. And I said that would ruin Spider-Man. And you know, I said exactly what Joe said, homophobic people say. But in the case of Spider-Man, you know, Spider-Man's his romantic life, his thing with Gwen Stacy and with Mary Jane and Betty Brant, and you know, going back to that's always been such a huge part of his story and his personality and everything, you know. So for him, it's like, yeah, that would just upend like 80% of his history. There's other characters where you can do it, and it doesn't really, you know, like Alan Scott. If he was closeted because it's the 40s, okay, that kind of works, you know. So there's like a good way to do it, and then there's a way that sucks, and it becomes hard to talk about it because you never really know until you kind of dig. Does this person have like a legitimate? He feels like it's ruining the character's history, or does he just? He's pissed off every time there's a gay person in a book that he bought, you know, and it's like there's a lot of different reasons that people have that reaction, but I think some of the reasons are legitimate. I think some of the reasons are like, yeah, I totally understand why that would be obnoxious. I get that, you know.
Do you think? I'm sorry. Go for it, Joe.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know, speaking of that, but like if you talk to a lot of gay people, queer people, whatever. They'll also, you know, tend to have these nuanced conversations. Like a couple of my friends years ago talked to Phil Jimenez, like after a panel at New York Comic Con, shortly after the whole Iceman thing, and you know, had a thoughtful discussion with him where, you know, he was open about it. You know, I think he's a bit older than me, and you know, is more of the understandably, like it's nice when these things happen and that sort of thing. But you know, we talked a bit about, you know, how they handled it, if it could have been handled better and things like that. And it was an easy conversation to have. Like he did not make it awkward at all, like, because there are nuances to this, and anyone with half a brain understands that. So,
and I think a lot of gay people are kind of like, they make Marvel DC makes a character gay. A lot of gay people don't want to say, oh, this is bad, because they want to support the gay characters, they want to support the gay creators, whatever. So they don't want to. But yeah, I think you're right that when like you can actually have a minute to get like past the tweet and actually have a nuanced conversation about it. A lot of gay people, you know, oh, maybe they have issues with that one, but not with this one, whatever. It's like, you know, well, when the new Star Trek movies made Sulu gay, a lot of people thought they said, oh, we did this to honor George Takei, you know, and George Takei was like, this is bullshit. We wrote that as a straight character. I played it as a straight character. Gene Roddenberry, you know, we talked about this. He has a family, he has kids, you know, and there's like this
gay people young gays.
And he got young gays coming after him and attacking him, and it's like, well, that's actually really kind of bullshit that you're saying because he's gay. He can't play a straight character. You know, why? If he intended this character to be straight,
Rock Hudson,
it was part of the character that the character had a wife and had a family, and like you know, that was part of his intention for who he was playing. You know, and he has every right to do that. But it's you know, gay people will be afraid to have that conversation because you will get like the young gays that will come in and they're attacking George Takei for his opinions on Sulu. Like, of all the people in the world, they're telling him your opinion on Sulu doesn't matter. He is fucking Sulu, you know. And there's this assumption too of the younger people that worked on that movie that they went around without talking to him, without asking him. They went around saying, "Oh yeah, we made Sulu gay to honor George," and they were like already giving public interviews saying that when nobody had bothered to ask George, did you consider your character that has a wife and daughters to be gay? You know, like nobody bothered to run that by him. And so I think that that's really kind of offensive to not consider that gay people might not be a monolith. He might have a different opinion on it, but that's the type of stuff I get a lot of shit for. Cause I'm not supposed to say, oh, I don't like this character being gay. Cause the people
You're
comics,
just talking about George Takei.
Well, I say other obnoxious things as well, but
let me ask you guys a question concerning mainstream superhero comics. Do you feel seen? Isn't that what everybody says? I finally got someone that looks like me. I got someone that's like me. Do you feel seen finally?
Yeah, I'll chime in. Maybe my brain just works differently than a lot of people. I don't know, but that's never been a goal of mine to be seen. I've never enjoyed media because I'm like, this guy's a lot like me, therefore I enjoy it. Like, there's such a weird kind of ego to that I don't understand. So
it's always been me, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's not been a time where I'm not. 9 out of 10 things. I love Good Times. I love the Jeffersons. I watch all sorts of. I watch TV. I watch all sitcoms. I love Sanford and Son. I can't help what these programs are, but these are what I watch. I love the Little Rascals, and things like that. But for the most part, and this is where like the crux of the conversation with my brother was, what is your problem with gay people?
Yeah.
If you look back on all the things, name a gay character that we saw as a kid growing up in a cartoon, in a mainstream program, in a drama, and we can't. Name one Spielberg movie that there was a gay character. Name one. I don't know any. Are there ones now in any of the recent ones? Did they make a character gay from one of those that book that they made a movie out of? I have no idea. A Jurassic Park or something. But as far as I know, none. So all my life I grew up. Oh, maybe there was that guy Bronson Pinchot and fucking that one.
Yet as a kid though, I still love Spielberg movies. I didn't need to see myself in the movie to. That's why
that's great for you. But my point is, I never had to worry about that situation.
No, that's true.
I think it's a real conversation to have, though.
No, it is.
I'm trying to be nice about it.
And it's true. Rick, go and I'll chime in.
No, I let Joe go first because I was almost going to say something just like what you said, but I was afraid that I'd piss you off if I said it, which is because there's an issue of like, as a gay kid, you go your whole life and you never see a gay person in entertainment. That eventually starts to have a psychological, at some point you want, you shouldn't be totally excluded from the world and from society. But I hate this idea that people watch stuff just to see themselves, that it has to be like me or else I can't enjoy it. That's kind of what I was trying to say about my comics. I don't want people to feel like because they're straight, they can't read my comics. I don't think you're supposed to look at art just to see yourself. I think that that's a really, really narrow, closed way to look at art.
Yeah.
And Roger Ebert, he used to call movies an empathy machine. And he said that the amazing thing about movies is that you can go to a movie and you can see a story about a little girl in Iran, somebody who has nothing like you. You have no superficial things in common. And you watch the movie, and by the end of the movie, you understand that person, you empathize with her, you feel what her life is like. And, that's what art should be about, is that you can understand other people. Yeah. And when I think I always use the example of R. Crumb, right? Because R. Crumb he likes, big, giant Amazonian hairy women, right? And I like the pretty skinny twink boys. It's like polar opposite sexualities, right? But psychologically, it doesn't have to look exactly like you or like the person that you like to recognize the universal traits of human psychology. And I can understand a lot about him from his comics. And it doesn't mean that I have the same sexuality as him, the same interest as him, or background as him. But you read it and you understand him, And it's not because I understand it because it's like me. That's the most superficial way to understand it, because you're not understanding anything new. You're understanding what you already know. You should be seeking out something that's new, something that's different. That's what art is good for. It's the whole point of art, And a lot of people just want to see themselves. They want to see what they already. It's the same way that they react. They want to see what they already know. They want to see what they expect. Like, I expect Superman to look this way, so he better look that way, or else I don't like it. And you should be going there to oh, hey, like this guy, the director totally blew my mind. They showed me something that I never would have expected. And a lot of people, they're not open to that experience, which I think is really sad. So that's kind of why I kind of roll my eyes about, oh, he looks just like me, or whatever. But at the same time, I do understand that, it's bad if the entire world of comics, there's no gay people, there's no trans people, whatever. You do need a certain degree. But exactly what Joe said. I don't read comics just to see myself. I don't read a book just to read about myself. I think that's really stunted.
But to build on it, like kind of what you were saying about your brother in this conversation, it sounds like that's like what your brother and a lot of other people. It's like the thing they're not saying is, I want to see more of me and my interests and exactly what I want, like, on the screen, and I'm too picky to deal with some other aspects of this and that, because it does run both ways. It's like straight people should experience queer people in TV and movies. It's not going to be every TV or movie. It's not going to be every book, but like, they're going to pop up. And I think the problem right now, that we're facing is there's more and more of like, if there is any queer element to this at all, it's a queer movie or it's a queer show. And
that's the other side of the same thing that I'm talking about, is people that, there's lesbians in Star Wars, so now Star Wars is not for me anymore. Like, Star Wars, it's not my Star Wars, it's for somebody else now, because there's a lesbian in Star Wars. Like, why? That's stupid,
The problem is that back in the 90s, if I heard there was lesbians in something, that would be awesome. You know what I mean? Today, it got ruined. I don't know what about it. It just is not as cool as it used to be. Maybe I'm old. I don't know.
Well, because it's not lesbians making out for the enjoyment of straight people, because it's...
Oh, I see.
It's actual...
Then who cares?
Yeah. Well, lesbians might care.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
But,
because I don't think there's... I mean, I see videos of people waiting in line in Star Wars movies back in the day. And black people, white people, Asians, men, women, everybody's just having a good old time being geeks, not complaining about George Lucas getting his shit out late or anything like that. Just a great time.
But also kind of building on something Rick was saying before too, like the idea of like, when you were younger, the idea of like a gay Robin, sure, is like, those sort of things are more important for younger people and people who, you're a kid, you go to school, you don't have like that big of a social reach, you're not out there experiencing the world in the same way.
That's what actually, when I was reading the DC Pride special, I was trying to tell myself that. I was trying to tell myself, like, okay, this is overdone and obnoxious to me, but if I was like a whatever gay 12-year-old in Ohio, would this be like, oh my God, it's the first time I read a comic that talks about this. It's like it's a big life-changing thing. But like, I don't know that that's really who they're writing with that in mind. And I don't know that that's really who's reading it.
I think
it's
gay
more
people that come in and get those things though. And
but do you have like a little gay 11-year-old that's like all excited because it's the first gay thing he ever read?
I wish it was younger.
I think you have gay adults that are going like, oh gosh, this is fun. This has been like what I've wanted for 25 years and now it's here, which I think that's very different than, I have less patience for that than I would for if it was like a little, like, oh my gosh, Robin has a boyfriend. Like, that just changes his whole day,
I think part of it's for the culture. You know what I mean? You just got to represent. And back when Black Panther was really good, and they had letter columns. I've talked about this before, but people would write in and say, I bought 2 so I could get one for myself and give one to somebody. And everybody would write in about how they bought 2 so that they could buy one for themselves and give one to somebody. And it's like, you gotta kind of represent when these things are made available to you, or they might not be made available to you later. Sales don't necessarily suggest that it does, but you got to take the hit for a while. WNBA,
In the 70s and 80s, when Marvel was trying to introduce more Black characters and more racial diversity, there was stuff that they did that was very, when we look at it now, it was very awkward and very forced, very overdone. But it's still good that they made the effort. It's still good that they were trying to do that. Yeah. So, I mean, I understand that the general idea comes from a good place.
Hey, everybody, I want you to know we got a super chat, and for that, for $2, Lane Kramer says, we need more young people reading comics in general. I was thinking that those words.
No, we do. But, to build on another point here, I've talked with like other queer cartoonists, like Jennifer Camper, and specifically is who's coming to mind, but some other people too, and had this conversation because I also agree with this, and I do want queer representation. However, it does seem, particularly at the big 2 and some of the other big publishers, that we keep going into the same first day of the same like gay 101 course every single time it comes up. And it's like wanting to like, okay, but can we like go somewhere from here? Can we go to the next step? Can we do something that we're, again, like, can we elevate the character? Can we do it where they're doing other stuff and this is just understood and we're not putting a spotlight on it? They're just living their lives and it's not a big to do. And it's not just this way in mainstream comics, through the direct market. I mean, this is the YA market and other things like that too, that it just feels like kind of caught in this like arrested development state of just sort of repeating the basics over and over, and that gets a bit monotonous.
It's too hung up on trying to accomplish something, trying to accomplish like an affirmative message. Because I think even with straight people, there'd be a lot less backlash if Superman has a boyfriend. If the boyfriend was an actual character, or like Wiccan and Hulkling, right? Wiccan and Hulk, I mean, they're decent characters, but they can never break up. They can never have a fight because they represent something. And if they broke up, it would just, it would be, how could you do that? They were my, because they represented this to me, and now you destroyed the thing that they represent.
It sounds like a great story already. I love it.
If Robin had a boyfriend, and what if the boyfriend turned out to be evil and he betrayed Robin, and what if he was spying on Robin to find out Robin's secret identity, whatever. If the boyfriend actually had a story, if the boyfriend was a complicated character, that would be so much more palatable, I think, to people than these sort of like that he's just stuck in there to be the perfect little. All he does is show up and have pizza with Robin, and they talk about how much they love each other and how perfect they are. That's when it gets very grating.
I felt that the Robin thing was handled so poorly. Here he has a long-term girlfriend in the spoiler or whatever the hell she's calling herself. And here he's going to have another guy, and it's kind of like wrestling. You want to peel off the feud with one person and get the feud going with the other one. And you have the obvious love triangle and long, complicated story that could come from something like that. Hopefully there's some superheroing going on at the same time, maybe trust issues. But a guy like me, and I'm not talking about the guy that doesn't write comic books, but a guy that's a straight guy writing a story that's going to turn a character gay is not supposed to be handled these days, I think. Am I wrong, Joe? It feels that way. I mean, if you're writing a black character, you probably shouldn't be a white guy anymore. In fact, a lot of times it feels like you shouldn't just be a white guy at all. But maybe that's
Well,
just me talking. I don't know.
I mean, I get where people have felt that way about stuff, and I think maybe a few years ago it was a little more true, but like right now we just had Philip K. Johnson on the John Stewart Green Lantern book for like.
Ooh. See, I don't even know what he is though. Is he a Brit or something? I don't even know. I've never seen the first interviews.
No. He's.
I love not
he's
knowing the creators a little bit.
Yeah.
I got to admit, the anonymity of the creators or finding out who they are when you go to a convention is like shocking, and it's just like it's a great thing. I lament those days not being here.
Yeah, no, but he's a straight white guy with a married with a family.
There you go. Well, and, it's kind of curious sometimes. It's like I had a friend or somebody I worked with, and like after 100 years of being alive, they said, "By the way, I'm bi." It's like, so
yeah, but
and there were a few comic creators that were coming out, and by the way, I'm bi, and it's like, so, and it's like, what are you making sure you can get that job or something like that, or it's okay you can write that character? It seems kind of exploitative.
I don't care about straight people writing gay characters. I think we should be well past that at this point.
Yeah.
But I know that's something that some people still bang on about, but it doesn't bother me.
No, it shouldn't. But like here's the thing. It's like that's great. But right now it does feel like people of considered minority demographics often get pigeonholed into writing that specific character, but then you do still get people of either different backgrounds or super successful. Like if you're super successful or a celebrity coming in, regardless of your background, you can kind of do whatever you want, but you're not seeing the same thing when it comes to women getting a shot at having a long run on a marquee character, gay men having as often. There are exceptions that prove the rule. There are things that happened. A lot of them have been forgotten. I think everyone forgot that Ivan Velez had a multi-year Ghost Rider run in the 90s. This,
Wait, Ivan Velez, writer? I didn't read those. Was that one like
he wrote
it was doing the writing, the art?
It might have been, but yeah, because the Tales from the Closet guy,
He's a gay guy? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was gay. He is gay.
I mean, yeah, whatever he is.
Yeah,
I only knew Andy Mangels, who wrote Blood Wolf for Image and Gay Comics for Gay Comics. I don't know what the name of the company was.
Yeah,
who wrote Meat Men? Woo, Meat Men. Now that was a hot book, let me tell you. But if you haven't seen Meat Men before, now that's some gay literature, let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess what have we got? We got Phil Jimenez had a Wonder Woman run, but that almost sounds like when you say
that, you still feel like gay writers are underrepresented at the big companies, you think?
I don't know. Are we including Grant Morrison now?
No.
I don't know if you can count Grant.
I mean, when we can come up with a word for otherworldly, oh well, that's what he is. They are. Whatever.
No, I mean, like it's a whole thing. I don't. Well, but that's also part
I respect
of it.
Grant Morrison. I love Grant Morrison. My favorite.
No, I do too. But from what I know
I gotta
about
get
Grant,
the scoop. Peter Milligan. What's the deal with him? Does he have a wife and kids? I mean, he's always writing gay characters back in the 90s. Remember that? Like Enigma, Shade the Changing Man. There was that boy one that was, or was it girl? I can't remember. but it was Prism was the book that would come out, and then it was like, oh, this is a great little outing of all the creators. But yeah, I didn't know about Ivan
I
Bohr.
don't know anything about him. There are the straight writers that seem to try to specialize in that, or Judd Winnick, and try to make it their thing.
Judd
to write about the
Winnick,
gays
that
all
was
the
a
time.
long time ago.
Does he still exist? Yeah, but that was all he wrote about,
Not in
right? For a little
mainstream
while, was
comic
like
books.
that he knew.
We used
that
to
he,
make fun of him
he
all
knew
the
Pedro, so he wrote about that. But no, what I was
back in like the early 2000s, you could still make fun of people endlessly, and Judd Winnick was. I remember we were at an Eisner Awards ceremony, me and my buddy, when we were working the show, and then there's Judd Winnick and his wife and all these other comic book celebrities hanging out, but he had done Pedro and me, and it was like, man, you just like. You're like a vampire for Pedro's corpse. That's what.
what I was going to say was that I think that I understand when there's gay people are totally underrepresented in the industry, then you're like, oh well, we have a gay character, we should get a gay guy to write it. But I just think that I don't like the idea that if you're gay, you should write the gay stuff. If you're straight, you should write the straight stuff. I think that's really limiting for gay people and straight people. But then you're kind of saying that you do feel like the gay writers are still really underrepresented.
It's like yes and no. It depends, and it's a whole thing. But also a lot of times it's more like underrepresented in like again like with women and everything. It's like that's great that you make sure that you get a woman to write Scarlet and Black Widow and stuff like that. But like. It's less often. You've seen things change a little bit, but like you got Torrin Grunbeck on Thor for a few issues because they were in between men at the time because Donny Cates flamed out and they were waiting to get Al on that. So we'll have a woman in between and then we'll give it to a real person, but I'm teasing
No, it's a good
bit,
joke. I mean,
but,
everybody likes that one.
Yeah, there we go.
True.
But
no, I mean, and when we're saying gay, I mean, I'm a different generation.
Sure.
I guess queer, because like that used to be a bad word. I remember, like queer,
It's just it's a catch-all term I like to use to just get the whole fucking thing done.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I hate the term queer.
I forget sometimes is what I'm saying. And there's women and there's men and gay's kind of man, but not really because
you shouldn't worry so much about the. I mean, because if you find one person that likes one term, you'll find another person that doesn't like it. So
because I got very comfortable using dyke. Let me tell you,
people get
hung up enough dykes to watch out for.
Well, people get hung up on this that there's a correct and an incorrect term for everything. But 5 minutes from now, a new group of 18-year-olds will decide that that's wrong and it's a different correct term. So you shouldn't.
Yeah.
I just don't think you should get so hung up on it. Personally, I know a lot of people love the word queer. I was in the queer anthology that he just had. Personally, I've always really hated that word, but that's just me. That doesn't mean that nobody else can use it because I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying you should use what terms that you think that. I think that reasonable people will know that if you use it in a hateful way or if you're trying to use it in a decent way. I'm just saying, don't worry so much.
Of other terms that I would never say on a live stream casually. So,
I love the word faggot myself. If we're talking about, because me and my friends all constantly that dumb faggot. You hear what the dumb faggot said? Yeah, did I just get you demon? No, but my point is that I know that some gay people are just like they can't handle hearing that. It really upsets them. I think it's funny because because when I'm talking with my friends, obviously. We know that we don't hate gay people, so we know that there's a joke there. So for us, it's a humorous thing. But it just depends when and where and who and how.
Going back to the woman thing, just a moment. Eric Breen says, how many years was Joe Duffy on Power Man and Iron Fist, or Louise Simonson on Man of Steel and Ascending on Daredevil? Louise Simonson doing New Mutants, following Chris Claremont, and of course both she and Nocenti were editing Chris Claremont. And there were a lot of more high profile, not getting shitty gig. I mean, Power Man and Iron Fist is not the best book to get, but I mean, she's still working with competent artists, you know, Mark Bright back in the day. And I think Dennis Cohen was there. Louise Simonson with Man of Steel had freaking John Bogdanov, and Anna Cindy got John Romita fucking Jr. I mean, those were good times for ladies in comic books, and they weren't necessarily comic book people either. They weren't like all the time loving comic books. Oh, so what got you into writing comic books? Well, I'm a writer and I write fucking comic books. That's what I want to hear these days. I don't want to hear a fucking thing about the X-Men cartoon or anything. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry.
No, you're fine. And I like.
I'm a writer and I write. You know, that's what I do.
Yeah.
You know, and
no, it's for sure. And I like it, you know, I get Eric's point and all of that too. And it did seem when there was a little less of a focus on this that stuff would happen a bit here and there.
See it all the time. Know. Oh, look, this is the first gay character who's black or this or that. And it's like, no, that happened all the way back here. And, you know, this person ain't no fucking different than people you've worked with and people before them, you know, and
that's why they have to keep getting more specific so they can still have new firsts to claim.
Well,
they've already run through all the big ones. So now this is the first polyamorous demi boy that's in a comic that comes out on a Thursday.
I have to have August. Some weird sexual thing that says that I don't like this, but I do like this, but only on this certain day, and that's me, baby.
I'm an asexual that loves sex, and I'm a non-binary woman, and yeah.
But no, I do kind of miss, and I'm sure we'll get back there because all these things go cyclically. I miss in like the early 2000s, it was cool to not have a label and just be you.
Mm-hmm.
There was this,
I remember that. I can vaguely remember those times.
Yeah.
Except
and I feel like we'll get back there again. Like
in the 90s, you know, you put a plaid shirt around your waist or something like that. Maybe you wore an army jacket or something. You know,
sure.
You know. There's always something, though, really.
Well, but like, you know, sometimes, you know, you might talk to someone and they're trying to like verbalize this thing and really come up with a label for a very specific thing, maybe about themselves or who they are. And it's just like, you don't have to, like, if you're trying to and you're figuring it out, like, it's okay to not have a label. You could just be you. It's all right. Like, really.
Social media ruined the non-label era, and Eric Breen says labels are for medicine bottles. My mom's my one son's a drug addict. She was talking about me smoking pot, and I'm all, drug addicts shoot. They have needles, and they get them from their doctors. Sorry, I ran all over that. Let me play a video so that everybody knows that we're almost done.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. This is pretty awesome. I only had this many notes here, and I think we got through everything, like all in the very first minute of talking. So we said it really isn't. So my big thing is guns in comics. And sometimes when I'm telling people about all the guns that are in comic books, I'm like showing them the racks. And when I do that, there are times when there aren't a lot of guns. And I feel that a lot of people that complain about everybody being gay, or every ginger is turned into a black person, or all right, that's a lot. That actually is a lot. That's crazy. There's a lot of gingers that are turned into black people, but I don't care. But there isn't that many there isn't that many gay characters, and there isn't that many guns in the covers of comic books all the time. Sometimes there is, and it might be, during Pride Month, and I think it's to be expected.
More guns in the comics during Pride Month? Is that what
you gotta be able to weigh it off,
You're saying that there's not too many Pride Month variant covers, because it seems like there's quite a few.
Look, Pride variant covers are not the problem. Variant covers are the problem.
That's true. I agree with that.
People do like those variant covers from time to time. But I would say that of the majority of the Pride covers I've seen, it's not unlike when we see someone get saddled with a character that ain't that great, and it's just going to be a miniseries, and the artist is new or past their prime or just not good altogether. And I'm not saying that these artists are bad, but the covers are just not. It's not a superhero. It's not a mainstream comic book cover. And sometimes that's good, but only if it's different and not the way it is all the time. And those third covers, fourth covers, the Hispanic heritage, where's my Irish heritage one? I mean, I never get that one. Where's my Guy Gardner stuff? I think he is. I don't know. And all that other stuff is usually, you can only get so many Jenny Frison covers, and I don't even know if she counts. So if we're only going to have gay people do these covers, Phil Jimenez is going to be drawing his ass off till he's in the grave, I guess. He better do it from the grave.
Jenny Frison's married to a man, so
she can be she can have a letter. It doesn't matter. There was a college time. It doesn't matter.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to first herself as.
I wasn't trying to impugn or put her in a box that she didn't belong in. I'm sorry, Jenny Frison. I just, it's the pastel-y look, I guess, is what it is. Let's go to chat really quick. Lynn Kramer says, it's social. We're all in agreement, I think. Well, maybe not.
No.
It's social media that's the worst cost for this. I mean, it's for regular people, for people in entertainment too. And then let's go Spider Guy. Oh, he's doing pictures. I keep telling you all, I'm not gay or straight. I'm queer. It's different.
Sure.
I thought you were talking about your brother. I wasn't sure. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you guys for joining me on this very, very sensitive issue. Thank you to all my patrons and all y'all. I guess I'll see you next week. I'm not going to take a week off again. So thank you very much. Anything you guys want to add before I tune off?
Probably talked more than I should already.
Oh,
probably I got canceled a couple more times tonight.
No, everybody loves you. Everybody on my show loves you. Everybody on my show loves Joe too. I think it's a great.
Oh, thank you. If they love me, they should buy a copy of DC
from my store.
Of Rachel Pollack. Buy it.
Do you know if the omnibus is still available? Actually, too bad they can't get that in there. Yeah,
I feel like it is.
Buy the Rachel Pollack omnibus, but definitely buy the what is that, $10?
Yeah, that's just $10. It also has the Brother Power, the geek one shot she did with Mike and Laura Allred, which is great. I love that story.
Do you know why Laura Allred does the coloring, other than she's a great colorist?
I mean, that's a good reason, but I believe they're married.
Oh, that too. All right. So hold on a second. Okay, this is funny. Okay, firstly, Mike Allred's colorblind, so Laura Allred does the art, or the coloring art. If you read the first Mad Men, which I highly recommend, that are in an omnibus, of course, it's all black and white, and then later it's grayscale, I think, and then she does the coloring. I think that's in the Dark Horse. Yeah, that's a good one to get. Mike Allred,
So
I dig him.
if he ever made her mad, she could really fuck up his issue, and he wouldn't even know about it.
He wouldn't even know. He would not know. Oh yeah, that's right. He did a solo issue. Remember when DC did a solo? They did like a Howard Chaykin issue,
Right.
Brendan McCarthy issue, Paul Pope. Well, they also did a Mike Allred issue, and he does a fantastic 1960s Teen Titans thing going on with the Batusi and whatnot. And when you're reading the who the person is who's doing this book, it makes it sound like he has more than one wife. And he's Mormon, so he probably does.
He just got canceled by the Mormons.
Goodbye, everybody.